Coming to you live from the studios of the National Television Net. Let me say good morning to you. It is the launch of Creole Heritage Month 2021. I'm Humadi Mark alongside Primus Hutchinson, and we're going to be your hosts for this morning's event, this morning's activity. Creole Heritage Month this year is being held under the theme Kilte Kajewi, Culture Heals. That is a theme that is very fitting given the COVID-19 situation that we've been facing as a country, as a region, and around the world as well. COVID-19 has disrupted the way that we've lived our lives for a number of years, the way that we celebrate, and of course the way that we celebrate Creole Heritage Month. Last year, we saw a new face to Creole Heritage Month. Everything happened digitally, and this morning, we're going to tell you exactly how we are going to celebrate Creole Heritage Month this year. Mais we passe à moi héritage Creole, ça Creole là, qui te dit bonjour Primus, moi savent n'est un lisson. Creole là, puis moi hamade pour lisson Creole, so actuellement aujourd'hui à obligé moi. Bonjour Primus.
Putting me on the spot, that's not fair. That's not fair. Bien bonjour, monsieur, madame, bienvenue pour Mission Sala sur Telio NTN. Côté pour l'autre année, nous avons encore célébré l'héritage créole cette fois-ci. Le thème là aujourd'hui là, c'est culture Kajewi, culture hills. Si c'est ça, nous avons pour la culture, nous devons être fluide, parce que après moi, l'héritage créole fini, si nous l'avons culture, Corona kind of plus mauvais, alors nous pour checker culture ça là, plus fort. Nous ici on est l'autre grec qui est ici et puis nous pour discuter ça qui est fait pour l'année ça là, pour observation créole, moi héritage créole qui m'a dit qu'il fait qui est différent qui l'année qui passée, particulièrement comme en bas Corona. Alors c'est ça nous avons ici là. Western écoute.
You know, one of the things, Primus, about this year and this year's activity, looking at how it was celebrated last year, I remember looking at that were held. There was a series of stories being told, and there were stories that I grew up listening to, and I remember the joy in my heart just by listening to the stories and being able to, relieve the experience of my grandmother telling me those stories, possibly when she's trying to maybe get me to go to sleep. And one of the things that I think is really important about this theme is the fact we come from resilient ancestors. They started or they built their lives at a point where there is no social media, and a lot of the things that we enjoy now, they had to live without it. And the fact that COVID-19 makes us kind of start from scratch when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the way we live our lives, we can lend a little or even use it as inspiration from the way they live their lives. So I think that's one of the important things about the theme this year for Creole Heritage Month. And of course, to tell us a little about, a recap, give us a little recap about last year's activities. Of course, we're going to be having a chat with CEO, that's the Chief Executive Officer of this morning. Let me say good morning to you, and thank you so much for being here with us, being able to share the information that we require for the launch of Creole Heritage Month 2021.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here. Let me just acknowledge our dignitaries. We have Honorable Dr. Ernest Hilaire, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information. Mr. Melchior Henry, Executive Director, Acting of Folk Research Center. We have our Deputy Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Solange Belizier, and she's from, again, the Ministry of Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information. Mrs. Ramona Wynn, Executive Director of the Cultural Development Foundation. We do have Sumitra Jha Group Leo, Membership Development Officer, St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. Media personnel, staff of FRC, NTN, CDF, and of course, Event St. Lucia. A viewing and listening audience, good morning. Thank you once again. So March 11th, 20, that's when World Health Organization declared the coronavirus as a pandemic. And I don't think at that time we fully understood the devastation and impact of the pandemic. About 2 days after, so that would have been March 13th, Events St. Lucia, in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism and the SLTA, we announced the cancellation, the first time ever, the cancellation of St. Lucia Jazz 2020. And again, I don't think at that time we understood the full impact and devastation of the pandemic. The domino pieces continued to fall because a couple of weeks after that, the government of St. Lucia announced the point of St. Lucia Festival. And again, I don't think we understood the full impact and devastation of the pandemic. Fast forward to today, about 19 months after having made those initial cancellations, and maybe 2 years since any mass gathering in St. Lucia, that here for the second consecutive year to announce Creole Heritage Month in the absence of any mass gatherings. Last year we were faced with the constraints. It was a bit of a new thing for us, but we're able to go full ahead, able to grab that silver lining behind the very dark COVID cloud. And we put on some fantastic programming, I think. We captured our culture, our historical content, and we showcased it through our traditional dance, language, storytelling, even our fashion. We shared this far and wide with the media, the main media, but more so the powerful social media. And I believe we were able to amass over 227,000 views because our culture is so rich. It is so profound, it is so deserving to be told, it is so undertold. It is such a force to be reckoned with that I personally think that if we were to capture our culture in terms of programming for the next 10 years, we can do so without having to repeat anything. So for this year's Creole Heritage Month and the full programming, my colleagues will share it with you, Mrs. Wynn from Cultural and Mr. Henry from Folk Research Center. But suffice it is that more heritage Creole, the theme, as you rightly said, Kilte Kaje oui, culture cures, and culture does indeed cure. So whilst our objective is to share that content and to make sure that we have it chronicled for posterity purposes, we also have some complementary objectives. One, in launching Creole Heritage Month and taking on this venture, we are ensuring that there is a trickle-down economic benefit to St. Lucians, because we're going to be engaging over 200 St. Lucians in the whole of Creole Heritage Month. In addition to that, it's a powerful tool to support brand St. Lucia. Events St. Lucia was extremely pleased. Maybe about a week ago, we were contacted by a private commercial institution. What they wanted was to get some of our footage and our content from last Creole Heritage Month, because they're having an international conference of over 23 countries, and they wanted to showcase our culture using that content because of the quality, because of the significance, because of the relevance to showcase St. Lucia. And I mean, brand St. Lucia is well placed if content so powerful promotes it. So that's another objective, and we're extremely happy that we well placed and well positioned to produce that. Collaboration is key. As I said, I'm here with Mrs. Henry Wynn from Cultural Development Foundation. I'm here with Mr. Henry from Folk Research Center. NTN, of course, is hosting us today. So all agencies are coming together to put this on. All agencies, because we have our independent but yet integrated objectives of making sure that we promote St. Lucia as a diverse and culturally rich tourist and events destination in the world. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy about the collaboration. I'm happy about the programming that you will hear about soon. And it's my complete pleasure to be here and to launch Moi Heritage Creole, Kilte Kaj.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bonnie. And one of the things I can imagine must have been difficult in putting together last year's calendar of activities. One of the things that for Creole Heritage, for a lot of us, what it does is it's a grand celebration of our culture. And I found that with last year's activities, we were able to capture the essence of my Heritage Creole, the celebratory essence, without having people congregate. So I could imagine that brought about some difficulty last year.
Yes, difficulty, yes, but I guess there's a saying, necessity is the mother of invention.
Indeed.
So, I mean, I think, as I said, it's a silver line behind everything that you have to hold on to. And I think we did that last year, and we were well positioned to do it again this year. So you're quite right. We were still able to bring out the essence of our culture and, bring it to and to viewers and even the diaspora. Because of screens, we now tap further into social media, and that allowed us to reach out to first, second, and third generations inclusions. And the feedback was amazing. So from that constraint, from that challenge, yes, we were something good of it.
And like you rightfully said, what the new opportunity provides, documentation of our culture. So we have it for years and years and years to come, and we are able to very easily pass it on, not only to future generations, but to share it with the rest of the world as well.
Definitely. Yes.
Very nice. So that is the launch of Creole Heritage Month. You just heard from Laureen Sidoni, that is CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Event St. Lucia. And now we would like to back a short highlight of Creole Heritage Month activities for 2020.
Oui, tout le monde, je n'ai Creole encore, à nous célébrer plein de passés, à nous aller, oui, chanter, oui, chanter, oui. Jodien en l'air d'ibé, manger qu'à préparer, mon habillé belle, en hat traditionnel, bagaille en temps longtemps, à sous exhibition, dernier dimanche ma octobre, ou kaitan Creole plus souvent, Billy Ware, Billy Ware, Billy John, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole tout le monde, Vini célébrer nous, Vini amuser nous, Vini lâcher tout pour nous salah. Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole tout le monde. Ah, nous cachons culture. Ah ouais. Moun sorti tout partout pour célébrer avec nous. Ça qui sorti l'autre pays, gagner un chai bouti. C'est un occasion qu'a mené tout le monde ensemble. Chébé à souhait, si nous pas blé, ouais, moi. Billy Bois, papa avec moi. Billy Bois, danse avec moi. Billy chanter, sans qu'il soit. Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole tout le monde. Vini célébrer nous, vini amuser nous, vini lécher tout bon jour salah. Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole tout le monde. Levez la main, criez, levez la main, chantez, levez la main, criez. Tout le monde est sorti par ouais. À chaque fois nous avons tout pays qui a célébré journée Creole. Martinique, comme la journée qui a passé à place là. Ça va bien. Dominique, comme la journée qui a passé à place là. Ça va bien. Sainte-Lucie, comme la journée qui a passé à place là. Ça va bien. Cozile, Canawi, Soukouye, Tiennery, levez la main en sec, moi plaisant tout le monde crier. Ça va bien. Ça va bien. Journée Creole mama.
And just taking a look at the highlights of last year's activity, Creole Heritage Month, you look forward to what we have in store for 2021 in celebration of Ma Heritage Creole. Now, Primus, I told you what I liked about Creole Heritage Month. I like the stories, and in addition to that, I love the food aspect of it always, and the ability to get very creative with what I wear. What about you? What do you enjoy most about Ma Heritage Creole?
Well, I am so much a Creole person that everything counts. the dances. So much into the kutumba. I love the
You do the dance too?
I can, of course. I grew up in a community where this is so prominent, in the, especially around this time, October, November, December. So the kutumba, where
I would pay to see that, Primus.
Well,
I would pay to see you. That
challenging you for a while, but you've been shying away from it. Don't let me expose you to
Right. Okay, I'll keep quiet.
But I do enjoy everything Creole. I lived up this day. I am still very much into our Creole. Lamentably, with due respect, has been put into observing Creole Heritage Month every year. I'm not sure that. I'm not quite satisfied that our young people are really getting into the Creole, the real essence of Creole, observance of Creole heritage. Things many years ago. I was quite pleased with the last Junior Creole we held. Some of the programs, I remember them down Miku, and they had the game de jouer, Mamai, and so on. I believe that the jackstone, the ticket talk, and so on, all of these things, just to sort of perhaps make it perhaps every so many, during the month, as the year goes by, that we should have some sort of a program to keep our young people interested. I think we should try, and I suppose, based on what I'm seeing here, that perhaps that is the action that FRC and CDF and the others are going. So it looks good, but I have had my issues of, I don't mean to speak about Creole and myself. I think people should know that. I've been in this thing for much too long. I think I better go to somewhere else, like Italian culture and so on. But so far, so good. Very well.
Promise, and I take some of the points that you're making, and you're very right. With making Creole Heritage Month or the celebrations of Heritage Creole digital, we can definitely see young people getting involved and being able to view, because I think one of the challenges that you have in getting them involved is that a number of young people, they're engaged in social media, they're consuming by some light,
I'm sure it will work. As we continue, we have with us the CEO of the CDF, the Executive Director of the Cultural Development Foundation, Madam Ramona Henry Wayne. Madam Wayne, perhaps what we can do now is to tell us through this icon series and the La Marguerite Flower Festival. La Marguerite is supposed to be this month, right? October. Yeah. So perhaps you can enlighten us as to what it entails on the icon series and the La Marguerite Flower Festival.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, Saint Lucia. Bonjour, Primus. Comment? Oui, je vais dire un petit mot sur Creole. Mon héritage, nous avons ouvert, so je vais dire un petit Creole. Bonjour, Honorable Ministre Dr. Nessile, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Madam Sola Elize, Executive Director, Acting FRC, Mr. Henry, our CEO of Events Company, Lauren Sidoni, as well as our host, Hody Mack and Primus Hutchinson, staff of the CDF, staff of ECS NTN, and the St. Lucian public. I greet you, I bring you warm greetings from our hearts to yours. This year, for the CDF, it's no different from last year. Amidst all of the pandemic and everything, we are committed to bringing our culture to St. Lucians. We are once again bringing you the Cultural Icon Series, as well as the Margaret Festival that traditionally falls in October 17th. Our Icon Series is a platform that celebrates the life and work of St. Lucians who have contributed at least a 25-year body of work, who have entered the 25-year body of work. It's a platform platform seeks to highlight the excellence in the art as part of our cultural and historical footprint in arts, the contributions made by our people. The Cultural Icon Series, we put a committee together of persons from diverse fields to select individuals for the 5-year period. And to date, we have celebrated 6 individuals, namely Honorable Charles Cadet, who is passed for music. We've honored Virginia Alexander for dance. We celebrated Ramo, violinist. We've celebrated Vincent Jody Udovic for sculptor. We've celebrated Arthur Jacobs as well. And for us this year, we will not be celebrating new individuals, but sort of doing a reflection, going back, remember those persons that we've treated in the past. Because what we've recognized in the last year or so, 3 of our icons we've recently celebrated have passed on. So what a wonderful time to go back into the footage that we have and share with St. Lucian their life and work. Because we don't want them forgotten. We want them to be etched, you know, in our minds. We want them etched in our history and in our culture. So we are going to go back to that stock footage, and we are going to bring you a wonderful documentary of the highlights of their moments, their life and work, so that our young persons, St. Lucians in general, can remember the work that they've done, the contribution that they have made to our culture, the contribution that they have made to the development of our country, St. Lucia. A lot of them have also contributed to the world scene because some of them, their work went out of St. Lucia. So we want to bring you that, and we're going to bring you an hour documentary of the highlights, the highlighted moments of work, and that is going to be put together in the format of a documentary to share with St. Lucians our appreciation for their work, how we want to honor them. And again, CDF celebrates its 20th year next year, and we were saying, why not reflect on those wonderful moments, you know, the memory, the goodness, the contributions that they have made. So this is what we're going to do for the Cultural Icon Series this year. We do the Margaret Festival. Again, we cannot go into the communities to celebrate as we would normally do. Why not use our platform? Because for years we've been crying about the young persons not having an interest. Here's our opportunity to get them even more interested in the Flower Festival. So we are going to look at, again, using the virtual space and our digital platform to bring you the festival presented to St. Lucians and the diaspora. So for the school festival, the children normally come out full throttle. All the schools come out, and sometimes we don't even have space in the church to accommodate them. So this year, what we are going to do for the Margaret Festival, we are going to do a TikTok competition, which is your best Margaret moment, or your thoughts on Margaret. And we're also going to do your best dress. How would you dress going to the festival? So that one will be placed on Instagram, and the TikTok, you could use the TikTok platform, Facebook, wherever. So there you have an opportunity to share with those children so that they can be a part of, you know, to show us and to put out the creativity that we know that is in them, and to also understand the festival and to appreciate it as part of our culture. For the adults, they will not be left out. We will go to our stock footage again and come up with some of our best moments of the festival, and again put that into documentary. We are also planning on doing a short seance with one of the groups to just bring you that live component of it, so that at least they're a part of and that they're contributing meaningfully to the festival. So it's not... Our culture is our culture, no matter what happens. We will be proud to bring it to St. Lucians in style, in our cultural way we know how and we know best of, because I'm sure the rest of the world is waiting again like they did last year. They're waiting to see St. Lucia's contribution, because we know we are rich in culture, we are resilient people. COVID or no COVID, we are winners, we will win. So our culture will do that on the world scene.
Very nice, and that's for the Icon series and
La Marguerite.
I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, but do we know where it falls on the calendar for Creole Heritage Month? Waiting for, we get that information a little later on.
Well, for the Icon series, we're planning to release on the 24th of October, and we will go with the traditional date for Margaret on the 17th of October.
All right.
So we'll keep that date.
And in terms of the competition, are we doing it on the D?
No, we will start ahead, so it will culminate on the D. Yes.
So that's definitely something to look forward to, Creole Heritage Month celebrations of the Icon series and La Marguerite, of course. Like I mentioned a little later on, we will be revealing the entire calendar of activities for Moi Etage Creole. Primas ouve Bano Timos Creole, ebe?
Ou vle mwen pale Creole ba ou?
Oui, mwen tou. Ou ka bon mwen lison jodi ya,
Ok, sa mwen kay fè, se mwen kay fè, Madame Ramon, di sa di la tout alè la, sou sa ki ka fèt pou pousse La Marguerite, feste Flair La Marguerite, mais plus toujours c'est personnalité qui a fait un pile en développement culture à cette ici avec folklore. Il emmène à Dayola. Alors expliquer pour les membres publics et les gens qui ont côté leur pays, c'est mon comme Arthur Jacobs qui est passé, c'est un monsieur qui m'a trouvé un pile la sagesse Audley et toujours été engagé moi nous qu'à causer à ce créole à ce culture et aussi épisode so dis-nous moi nous dire en anglais qu'a établi en façon pour nous sur télévision avec les autres associés qualité ça c'est mon ça a fait qualité que j'ai fait pour cette leçon en ligne culture en ligne folklore et comme ça. So, bah, c'est mon coeur là. Dis-nous directement, qualité importance là, c'est mon salaire pour cette lycée.
Ou peut gagner moi, hein, en créole là, mais moi tomber pour faire.
Faut assez fort.
L'année ça, nous avons porté Icon series là. C'est un series qui a fait apprécier le travail là, qui go kilté, apporté l'année en la vie. Pour 27 l'année, il y aura fait un chai travail qui a connaître local, régional et puis à sur la terre tout le monde connaît about travail. So l'année ça là nous avons point tout ça nous a on our way Arthur Jacobs qui a juste passé jour passé, nous avons fait Honorable Charles Cadet qui passé l'année passée, nous avons fait Virginia Alexander qui a aussi, nous avons fait Vincent Joseph, Gav Saint Thomas nous avons fait, il a passé. So, chaque monde a passé. So, parce qu'il a passé, il a allé joindre ces gens qui étaient cobordés fait. Nous, l'année ça, porter travail, Timoso travail. So, monde qui partait, ouais, qui partait connaître about travail, nous, porter encore l'année ça. So, ou apprécier le travail là où il a fait. Ou commencer réfléchir à ce travail qu'on a fait, la contribution qu'on a fait pour cette ici. So, c'est pas pour grand monde tout seul, nous voyons ces jeunes monde là, apprécier ces monde ça là, because si ou pas ni fondation Kai, ou pas ça ni Kai, so ces monde ça là, c'est fondation simple ici en qualité. So, nous Kai porter travail pour le public là, pour tout le monde apprécie ces gens qui ont contribuer pour faire qu'il c'est ça hier, ça tout nous, ça apprécier aujourd'hui. C'est manière nous qu'à vivre, tout bagaille nous fait, c'est qu'il so c'est moun ça là, c'est architecte qu'il nous, so nous qu'à porter travail pour tout le monde ouais. Et apprécier c'est ici l'autre pays pour le monde apprécier et comprendre qualité contribution c'est moun ça a fait. Nous avons fait le 24 octobre, nous avons montré un documentary about young editor pour être toute qualité de travail, c'est mon salaire à faire pour apprécier et que ça sauver à ce qui si ça blette ou ni sauver ça, ce moment quand ni ça because you got to faire research, so you can need ça pour aider les petit project pour faire.
Je me demande tout vite, excusez-moi, le documentaire ça là, est-ce que c'est seulement sur NTN, mon cas, avec toutes ces télévisions et aussi sur l'autre média social, ça a pas dit, nous avons ça jouer sur NTN, mais de l'autre côté ça, maman ça aussi.
Il y a sur NTN, il y a sur toutes les médias sociaux, Facebook, Instagram. Tout ça on dit social media nous kayni là la télévision et puis radio tous aussi nous kayni ça so si on pas ni social media qu'on y a télévision là kayu ou kaywe si on pas cable ou ouais sur Hot 7 TV you ni on antenne you sa gain so ça ouais ça so nous kay photo à sur toute la forme
Hot 7 nous kay couper nous pour c'est ça
do surprise. Thank some when a lot more sama de police ou yo.
Mais vous pouvez me tous les jours. Alors, vous pouvez plus que vous pouvez madame ça.
Ça va tout. It is the launch of Creole Heritage Month 2021. If you are just joining us, let me say good morning to you. At this point, we would like to take a flashback, another look at the Creole Heritage Month celebrations 2020 in preparation for 2021 celebrations.
That we would never have had if she hadn't collected it on tape, like Cecil and so on. And of course, with my music, she sort of appreciated what I was doing with local music. And she did a lot to support me, including this voice you heard here tonight, my singing, that would have been lost if she hadn't recorded it, owed to an artist with her Heonora voices. So I owe a debt of gratitude to her.
We get the Shakara woman. Shakara man, Ingo say, with the singer like this.
Free salvation of humanity. Live up to that. My parents have worked hard so I could earn the privilege to languish like this. So conflicted and yet so content, agonized and feeling like a middle-class cliche because there's really nothing wrong. I just don't want to do it quietly. I think our generation lacks the quiet endurance gene. We absolutely thrive on melodrama.
And down the valley.
That's very strange.
Give it time.
But I've always heard it come regularly. I've always listened to it. How perverse.
No more perverse than other things. But you smell nice.
We've been sitting here for more than half an hour and you tell me now that I
help me sing a different song. My good day brought that job that took so long. My good day, bless me with good friends and family. I hope you get your good day today.
No, the place is too.
Ni la voz ecuai, ni confiance ecuai. A la route c'est
C'est moi, Héritage Creole Heritage Month 2021 being held under the theme Kilte Kajewi, Culture Heals. Today we're going to take a video link, a Zoom link. We're going to be heading over to our Zoom platform to have a chat with Sumitra Jagrup Leo, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about the private sector involvement in Creole Heritage Month 2020. Heard before from our previous speakers. It is going to be a culmination of activities and involvement from various sectors. We're ensuring that not one sector is being left behind. So with that said, let me say good morning to you, Sumitra, and thank you so much for joining us this morning for the launch of Creole Heritage Month 2021.
Good morning, Ms. DeMarc. It's always lovely speaking with you. I think the last time must have been over a year ago.
Yeah.
And so thank you for your very warm welcome, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, Deputy Prime Minister of the Minister of Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information, Ms. Solange Belizet, Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information, Mrs. Lauren Sidoni, Chief Executive Director of Events Company of St. Lucia, Inc., Mr. Melcher Henry, Acting Executive Director of FRC, Mrs. Ramona Henry Wynn, Executive Director of the Cultural Development Foundation, our media representatives, the staff of Events St. Lucia, of course the FRC and the CDF, the viewing and the listening audience, I wish you all good morning. On behalf of the Board of Directors, the members, and the Secretariat of the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, we wish to thank the Events Company St. Lucia, Inc. for inviting our partnership in this calendar events for Creole Heritage Month. Being aware of the significance of the cultural celebrations to all societies, and of course, on this occasion, St. Lucia's, we applaud ECSL on their bold approach to continue the celebrations every year through successful delivery of the annual program in an era where everything else, you agree, I'm sure, seems to be at a standstill. We commend their showcase of our resilience, our adaptability through the modified approaches which have been used, especially in the 2020 program, which was delivered on a mostly virtual platform, and ensured the available reach locally and, as highlighted earlier on, internationally, with a favorite being the Icon series, which honored actor and sculptor Arthur Jacobs. St. Lucia is aware and appreciates that the celebration of our cultural differences, as well as our common interests, help unite and educate us. We therefore welcome this partnership as a refreshing change from what we have been forced to accept as normal for almost 2 years. The St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce therefore encourages the participation of our members and the wider business community, and reminds each individual to do so safely and responsibly. This year's program has been modified to include the participation of the business community through the Best Creole House competition. The categories included are the Best Creole Decorated Business, the Best Creole Dressed Staff, the Best Creole Joke, and of course, the Best Creole Mask. The Chamber recognizes the challenges faced in this era, reassures the community of our commitment to serve as we navigate this shared journey. We certainly hope that all of the events are successful and rich in participation, as celebration and good vibes are very much needed at this time. Thank you again for your attention, ladies and gentlemen, for our brief remarks, and we are optimistic that Creole Heritage Month 2021 will set an encouraging tone for the upcoming season and hopefully the very near future. Happy Creole Heritage Month 2021.
All right, thank you so much for that, Sumitra. And of course, it's always a pleasure to have a chat with you. So business communities, business houses, you have heard from Sumitra, and you can be involved in Creole Heritage Month 2021 as well. So you can ensure that your Creole, your house, your business is decked out in Creole decorations. You can also have or participate in the mask competition as well. And in addition to that, the Best Creole Show, that one I'll be looking forward to. So these are some of the things in the private sector that you can look forward to for more Heritage Creole. And let's just take another quick flashback before we share with you the calendar of activities, the full calendar activities for more Heritage Creole.
Tout le monde, je n'ai pas eu encore, à nous célébrer, plus mais passer l'année passée. À nous aller, oui, chanter, oui, chanter, oui. Allez, bébé, manger préparé, mon habillé belle, en tradition tout seul, bagaille en temps longtemps, à sous exhibition. Dernier dimanche à octobre, ou kaitan Creole plus souvent, ban. Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole tout le monde, Big nous, Billy ami, take nous, Billy lécher toi tout bonjour salam. Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama. Moun sorti tout partout pour célébrer avec nous. Ça qui sorti l'autre pays, gagné en chai bouti. Ici en occasion qu'a mené tout le monde ensemble. Chébé à souris pour si nous pas vle ouais moi. Vini quoi avec moi, vini quoi danse avec moi, vini chanter. Sans qu'il soit Journée maman, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole tout le monde, Vini célébrer nous, musique nous, Vini lécher toi tout bonjour salam. Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama. Journée Creole tout le monde. Levez la main, levez la main, chantez. Martinique, comme les journées à passer place là. Ça va bien. Dominique, comme les journées à passer place là. Ça va bien. Sainte-Lucie, comme les journées à passer place là. Ça va bien. Gozile, Canawi, Soukouye, Tiennery, levez la main en les airs. Moi, dans tout le monde crier. Ça va bien. Ça va bien. Journée Creole, maman.
Welcome back. We are here live at the NTN, National Television Network. I'm Primus Hutchinson, and we are highlighting the program for Creole Heritage Month for 2021, Creole Heritage Month 2021. And of course, we've had a few of our guests before, and now the executive director of the FRC, the Folk Research Center, that is Mr. Henry, who's going to take us through the calendar of events for this year. Mr. Henry, welcome. And, well, relations, you are the new executive director. Acting. Okay, acting. Well, thanks for guiding. Okay. Perhaps we can do now is to take us through the calendar of events. I know there are quite a number of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, at first I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Ernest Hiller, Minister responsible for Tourism, Information, Culture and Creative Industries, Mrs. Lawrence Sidney, the CEO of Events St. Lucia Limited, Events St. Lucia Company, Mrs. Ramona Wayne, Executive Director of CDF, staff of NTN, and ECL. We have quite a number of programs that I would like to go through, but I want to reflect a little bit on the theme, Kilté c'est Jérusalem, and also it goes on to say, Kilté ça pensée, aider penser pays nous. We can look at it in a literal sense by examining the fact that we have these herbal remedies, and we will come to that in a while. These herbal remedies that we need to explore further, find out how best we can use them, sustenance and so on. And at the same time, there's another interpretation of Kilté Sajiri Peinu is to look at it as a re-examination of ourselves, all right, to establish the values by which we should live our lives, to make us stronger as a people and to identify ourselves as a unique people, so that we present ourselves to the world as something special to offer. Okay? Now, one of the first programs we have there is called Bon Santé. And this program focuses on, it's supposed to be encourage a national dialogue on traditional remedies and increase the awareness of risk factors and treatments of common conditions in St. Lucia. And we know a lot about our common conditions, BTs and so on. Basically, it's supposed to be an exchange between traditional and medical practitioners. There was also an element of training, but because the need to reduce interaction. So now it's going to be a 4-part series. It's going to run for about 10 to 15 minutes each. And that's Bon Santé. Then we have Creole Latupatu, the literacy program. And it is to facilitate the presentation of the rationale for the continued use of Creole in St. Lucia. And let me emphasize that it has to be for the continued use, but using Creole correctly. The correct pronunciation, correct spellings, people are very creative. They just spell it as they hear it. There is also a skills development component. We're supposed to go into the schools and so on. This has been removed, again, because of the COVID pandemic. So it's going to be all documented, recorded, and shared through social media. Lawen Creole is supposed to allow us to reintroduce the Lawen Creole brand in recognition of its patron we have now, there was also a skills component because there is a designer by the name of Audrey Augustine, and we were going to arrange to have her train some other young persons in the design and the making of traditional wear. That has been so now it's going to be a 40-minute documentary capturing the work of the two patrons, Cécile Descartes and Audrey Augustine. Festa Violon. Again, this one is to facilitate a handing over from a seasoned practitioner such as Charlie Augustine to an up-and-coming young practitioner, Yannick James. Okay? So development moved. It's to note that we have recognized that there's a need on the skills to both in the construction and the playing of the violin, playing traditional music on the violin. So even if we are removing it, hopefully in the future we can bring it back, because it is something that is required in order to ensure that these skills are not lost. Well, spirituality, which you can't do without. So there's going to be a church service, and we've selected the Soufre Church. We have not dated this activity as yet. In fact, we have not dated almost any of the activities, but this is going to take place in Soufre. And then we have our International Creole Conference, which is due to take place on the 28th to 29th of October. This will also encompass interactions with Creole-speaking persons around the globe. Okay? Some of the objectives will be to examine the role of Creole in the rituals and celebrations in the lives of the people of the region. And one of them is to explore the effective use of Creole in the dispensation of justice in the OECS. All right? And that is a project which is just beginning to take shape, that we've sort of conceptualized between ourselves and the Eastern Caribbean Court of Justice. Okay? Then there's Festin Jouet, and there were two main objectives: to the Creole games, traditional games, but also young people out, and to movement. That was one of the, because we become a bit, we couch potatoes, really. So we will still have this as a documentary, but we're going to bring young persons out in the community and to teach them the various games and how to play them and so on. That again is gone. And then we have a Creole Calypso competition, and the main organizer of this competition is going to be Papa Invader and a group of persons. And we are going to be providing lots of traditional material, proper pronunciation of Creole words and so on via the social media on a continuous basis throughout the month. That's basically what we have for the calendar of activities.
I know how much preparing to ask a question, but I just two among the calendar of events, the herbal remedies, and of course the traditional, and of course the medical professionals and so on. I am not sure how this is going to be, but it's interesting now that we have this pandemic, the corona, and there have been lots of discussion regarding the herbal remedies and so on, as opposed to traditional remedies, as opposed to our medical experts are encouraging us to use. I don't know how this is going to. I'm not sure if you would know.
That's a good one, because I was about to tell you that I'm not being a herbal practitioner myself.
Yeah,
I am not sure. I can't, because the thing is, we can't really predict how it's going to be.
But it has been arranged.
The response. But we have someone who is going to be delivering this, and we are hoping that there will be collaboration, interaction between the traditional and the modern.
This one would be interesting to watch.
There is also the element of pass on this knowledge, not into practice, but passing on this knowledge to younger persons. Please explaining to them what the various herbs are used for and so on. Okay? But it is, like you say, it is perhaps going to be a challenge in terms of getting the modern medical practitioners.
And so on.
Yeah.
There's another on the dispensation of justice using Creole, where the OECS countries are going to participate. That itself should be interesting.
Well, that is going to be very interesting. I think it's a very important project. We have persons who go to court and they can't understand or convert English. So is the interpretation perhaps of what they say
But from
evidence?
St. Lucia, Dominica, and Martinique and Guadeloupe. I know Grenada to a certain extent and Trinidad. I'm not sure if the...
Well, it doesn't have to be the entire OECS, but I mean, we're working in the Court of Justice that serves the OECS.
Okay.
So where in countries in which they speak Creole, and where persons would be, say, providing evidence or explaining themselves in Creole to court, this would be useful. Plus, it would have another, it would help us in the acceptance, getting people to accept the Creole language, okay, as a, how would I put it? Lots of people, they don't see Creole as a language that should be recognized as being,
Well, up to this, supposedly, well, we'll be very careful about this, who still believe that Creole is not a language. I don't want to create any controversy from there, but I am quite taken aback that people who are supposed to be well educated and perhaps they need to consult some of our linguists here. I suppose that's what they need to do.
I think.
I think that speaks to the importance of the Creole conference that we're going to be
Creole
having
conference,
to
yes.
establish a lot of those things. That's one of the things that I'm looking forward to, the Creole conference, because I know we heard that it may established in schools, or we're looking at the possibility of the introduction of Creole to the younger generation. I think that really is right.
There is a project that's being undertaken by the Ministry of Education, which is to establish a language policy with the stated objective to get Creole taught in school. We are a participant at FRC, but we're not spearheading it.
I really do hope something comes out of this conference, because I can recall some years ago, and I was so excited about this. There was this huge Creole conference that was held, or linguist, whatever, well, it has the emphasis was on Creole, and it was held at this auditorium, or was it the auditorium? And then we had Dr. Harrington, a very good friend of mine from Jamaica, Dr. Christie, who actually, that is where I first saw the dictionary. Well, not first saw, I was surprised to find that this gentleman had this this lady had this in Jamaica, had this book. And this big, huge conference, after how many years, I don't think anything really came of it. I'm hoping that this upcoming conference, that really something good, substantial would come out of this, and that we can learn a great deal.
Well, I think FRC would hope so too. I mean, we're not just putting this on just because we want to fill the space, the blank. One of the things we're hoping to have available at the time by the time we have the Creole Mass is a hymn book written in Creole. Okay, so that is also something that we're working on, and to make it available to the public.
Interesting.
All right.
And I know that we haven't done it, but if you can, Mr. Henry, can just go through the activities, the calendar of activities for our Creole speakers in Creole.
Okay, Primus, don't rate me, don't give me any grade. All right. Eh bien, nous, l'année ça, même l'année passée, nous pas célébrer par héritage créole, manière nous habitués à faire. Mais nous n'y pour assurer que nous célébrons tous les années, parce que nous ne pouvons chaîner à 4 7 lycéens. All right. So ça nous a commencé, puis ça va nous accueillir bonne santé. Nous avons regardé à tout le monde oisier, nous avons discuté bénéfices tous ces différents oisiers à un programme ça là. Programme ça là, les gens qui voient sur la télévision, ils voient sur YouTube, comme ça. Nous avons l'autre programme, nous avons créé Creole là tout partout. C'est pour encourager les gens pour parler Creole là et puis parler manière yo doit être. OK? L'autre bail là nous devons porter la reine créole vie, mais nous pas ni moun pas engagé avec moun manière yo te fait avant. So nous avons fait un documentary. Now I don't know how to say documentary in Creole. Now, do you know how to say documentary in Creole? Asul la vie c'est d'escat. Festin violon, c'est un lot côté nous gagne Julian Charlie Augustine, tout ce qui est intéressé en musique traditionnelle connaît Charlie. Et puis Charlie qui a parlé et puis un jeune violin Yannick James. OK? Bah là c'est ça nous voulons tradition en mort. So nous voulons ça qui a ma pipi dedans pour passer ça y connaître by jeunes gens. Ça qui est plus jeune parce que nous avons messe l'église et messe l'église ça a un cours en soufouillé. Nous avons un livre, c'est hymn book, chanter. Nous supposons available public là gagné qui en créole. OK. Et nous avons un gros conférence créole. Et conférence créole ça porté qui en Saint-Lucie avec monde qui en pays pour discuter sur le langage créole là. Bon même si monde pas ça de manière yo what's the word?
You play?
No, accustomed to.
On est habitué.
On est habitué.
OK.
Ça va pas empêcher mon tiété son yo de journée créole, canari yo, sardine yo, ti bois pain yo, avec femme puis ka wetan même cas yo. Et puis pour yo célébrer journée créole. Si nous écoutez conseil ministre santé nous faisons ça nous supposons faire peut-être l'année prochaine nous avons ça vieille manière nous avant.
Mr. Henry, moi ça c'est trois moun moi ça vini pour police
troisième
moun. Oui. Right now we are going to take another feature video in. You are viewing the launch of Creole Heritage Month 2021.
Oui, tout le monde, je n'ai pas encore. Les boys plis m'aient passé l'année passée. À nous aller. Oui, chantez. Oui, chantez. Oui. Jodien en l'air d'ibé, manger capoué par mon habillé belle. En hat tradition tout seul, bagaille en temps longtemps. À sous exhibition, dernier dimanche ma octobre, ou kaitan Creole plis souvent. Billy Ware, Billy Ware, Billy Don, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée tout le monde, Billy break nous, Billy a mistake nous, Billy léché tout bonjour sala, Journée Creole mama. Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole tout le monde. Ah, nous cachez que tu arrives pas comme une là, ah ouais. Moun sorti tout partout, pour célébrer avec nous. Ça qui sorti l'autre pays, gagné un chai bouti. Ici en occasion, qu'amène tout le monde ensemble. J'ai bé à souris pour, si nous pas blé, ouais, moi. Billy Bois, avec moi. Billy Bois, avec moi. Billy Chadé, sans qu'il soit. Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole papa, Journée Creole mama, Journée Creole tout le monde. Vini célébrer nous.
Merci madame pour sa public à ce NTN. Nous avons fait finissement alors
Yes.
nous avons commencé.
Yes. So yeah, let's do it.
Nous avons fini alors nous avons commencé parce que nous avons façade.
Ça aussi posé dit c'est actuellement moi qui vais un tiliso là pour il la sabete moi c'est ça on est pour faire un parfait pièce. But I want to say thank you to all of you who have joined. Thank you so much, Mr. Henry, for all the information that you shared with us. And let me see if I can see. Merci, Mr. Henry, pour information ou bon aujourd'hui les venir pour moi héritage créole et comment nous ça célébrer ou dit nous oui c'est pas manière nous habitués mais là nous ça fait la caille nous pour nous là pour vraiment nous ça fait la caille nous pour nous célébrer créole là chaque activité nous ça via sur TV, sur les médias sociaux et chaque fois nous ça fait pour nous assurer nous pouvons nous célébrer l'héritage créole et nous qui comme ça dit ça nous assurer nous pas venir malade nous pas une maladie corona.
Oui. Pour
protéger nos corps de toute maladie.
So actuellement au Cabo Melissa
là nous sortons ici à nous ça discuter ça. On voulait dire merci autant pour tout le monde qui a regardé cette ici et les autres pays à ce plan pour héritage créole qu'on nous a préparé pour l'autre mois pour observer culture héritage créole cette aussi créole culture académie que nous avons gardé particulièrement en situation de maladie corona côté nous pour célébrer à pèse maladie ça là alors culture académie comme monsieur Melcher dit la discussion sur ces divers remèdes que nous connaissons ça c'est un programme pour c'était avec ces bien expérience qui n'est plus l'expérience en service remède avec moi. Monsieur Melcher, dernier petit parole avant nous finir.
Well, merci pour tout le monde qui a vu le programme là. Ni un bon mois héritage créole. Je parlé à la manière de supposer compéter pour nous, pour le conseil ministre santé, pour nous mettre qu'on va dans position, pour nous célébrer l'autre année, manière nous habituer.
Merci
avant nous aller promise yourself by when you put the of course see nous qui ton ministre qui nous ça culté as moi héritage et créole.
Malheureusement il pas de ça ici et puis nous était pour venir mais était nous WhatsApp les ministres la can combien de différents bagages can pour faire alors il pas de ça venir aller à nous quoi nous ici pour ça faire des petites paroles là sur moi héritage créole.
Eh bien c'est ça.
Oui, et que moi nous avons parlé à sur plus les sont là nous vie upstairs. Merci autant merci à tout nous et que nous avons un bon mois de observance héritage créole en cette ici. Merci autant et écoute pour NTN alors nous merci.
Tout le monde connaît la bon pays, maman. On dit pieds jolis. Quand on traîne, mon Dieu béni.